You're dialed in to the Dawg Pound Podcast, your weekly shot of Cleveland Browns recaps, reactions, and rants with your hosts, John Drake and Chris Akin.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 5 of the Dawg Pound Podcast. I am your host, John Drake. With me is the mighty Chris Akin. How's it going, man?
It's always good on the back of a win, is it not?
I know. I could get used to doing these shows. This is not too shabby.
It's about us, dude, isn't it? 3 of 5 weeks without a loss. That's the difference, is us having a podcast this year.
It is. You throw some Baker Mayfield and a little bit of Chris and John into the mix, and all of a sudden the Cleveland Browns are relevant again.
Maybe not in that order either. I think it started with us, and then Baker's just helping.
Baker's success is actually a direct result of us, too.
That's right. Well, we both look like we visit a baker every single day, so, you know.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I resemble that remark. I had a nice giant can of tuna fish I was going to eat for dinner, and I come home and the wife says, "Look, I made homemade chicken and dumplings." I was like, "Well, bye-bye, Belt."
Yeah, you were like, well, I can't let her down by not eating this.
Exactly.
Of course not.
I got to eat the wife's cooking.
Of course.
The Cleveland Browns went up against the second-ranked defense in the NFL. Second against the pass, second against the run, if I remember right. I think it was fourth against the pass, fourth against the run, second overall. And Baker proceeded to put up 342 yards passing. Carlos Hyde had a very strong day. It doesn't look like it in the yardage, but he moved the chains. And according to Pro Football Focus, he was making people miss. And the Browns come away with a 12-9 victory. That was incredibly impressive. So, what are your first impressions? I was there, so I had a very unique perspective for this game. So,
look, anytime it's a win, it's a good thing, especially here in Cleveland. And it was not the most fun game in the world to watch necessarily. It just seemed like there was a lot of. Like if you set the ball on the 50 and then you took turns pushing each other, that's kind of how it felt.
Oh, well, for us, you mean more like the 10, but
yeah, well,
please continue.
but yeah, I mean, it was a field position battle for most of the game, and it played out in our favor. That's always awesome. I mean, there's obvious things that need to be cleaned up, but I don't really want to bitch too much this week. Look, I don't care if we win every game 2-0. If we win, we win. I don't, in this town where we're so starved for any wins, basically from any of our teams, two wins and a tie in 5 weeks for this team, no complaints here, man.
Well, they've now won twice as many games in 5 weeks this season as they have in the last 2 years combined. So I mean, it's like any more with this team. Anywhere you look, there's a stat that looks really good for us, and it's pretty crazy. And I was reading a lot of articles, and several of them said, it was an ugly win. And I thought, how is that an ugly win? You have the top ranked rushing offense in the NFL. And you didn't get your usual 144 yards a game, but you were effective when you needed to be. The fourth-ranked pass defense against a rookie quarterback making only his second start, and he goes for 342 yards and a touchdown. And, the defense played a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
And so I don't see how that's considered ugly. I don't think it's ugly when basically what you have is you're playing one of the best teams in the NFL right now, and it's a defensive-led team, and you come out with the win. That's not really ugly to me. I mean, where do you come out on that?
Well, it's ugly to every sports writer that just sits around and compares it to their Madden prediction. When they run the simulation on Madden and it's 38-34 or whatever. Look, this is what AFC football used to be. It was slug it out, low scoring, run the ball, in the trenches football. That's what they played on Sunday, and they were the better team on Sunday. There are things that certainly would make me a little leery to say that it wasn't ugly. The special teams, once again,
Well, they did get redeemed. I mean, Britton Cole quit again. The punting was good.
Yeah,
the coverage was better.
And
but they did have a blocked field goal. That goes a long way. But yeah, I definitely.
The kicker has to be a lot better. My God, dude. Even the winner, even the game winner,
Well, that one did get tipped a little bit.
I don't care. I don't care. It shouldn't have been tipped. It shouldn't have been that low.
I agree with that.
I mean, we went from one bad kicker to another bad kicker, and there's no way you're going to tell me anything other than that. He did put it through when it mattered. He also missed the extra point that would have probably not made it go to overtime in the first place.
Well, no, yeah, because it would have been 10-9 at the end of regulation, not 9-9, and then other people can say, well, if you didn't block the field goal, it would have been 12-10 Ravens, and they would have won. It's like, okay.
Well, and there's always those circumstances. My circumstance, the only team I care about is the team in the brown and the white, and and I worry about that. We're going to get snake bit eventually if we don't get the kicking game in order. I know the one he missed was 55 or whatever, and
yeah, but that was a bad miss though. You're going to miss a 55-yarder, but that was a good 5 to 7 yards to the left. That was
which means his mechanics are still not straightened out. He missed one to the left, he bonked it off the sidebar to the right, which means his mechanics are all over the place. He hasn't figured it out yet, Greg Joseph, because his mechanics are, and even the one that went in to win the game. My God, dude, that looks like something I would have kicked.
Yeah, I tell you, it was funny. I started the show saying that I had a unique perspective, and I did, because normally, I would be sitting in the pound, but our buddy used the tickets this week,
right? And
my guitar player, Jason, he and I were just like, well, we can't miss Baker's first home start. We can't,
right?
Because if he turns out to be, some, Hall of Famer or whatever, we want to, it was just a cool experience to go, man, I was there when he had his first start, and the tickets were at the opposite end of the stadium from the Dawg Pound. In fact, if you're looking from the Dawg Pound, we were way up in the upper left corner, about halfway up that section, 2 seats from the end. And we were looking directly at the side of the goalposts. Like it just looked like one goalpost.
Okay.
So when he missed the extra point, it looked like it was going in, but then he said doink, and it's like, God bless it. And then, we couldn't really tell from our vantage point. I mean, it obviously went wide because we watched the refs on the 55-yarder. But the game winner, we weren't sure what the hell happened.
Right.
Because there was literally, there was a quick delay. Like, the people in the end zone started going nuts, but the refs hadn't signaled.
Yeah.
So, and we couldn't tell because after having a hard time with the other 2 kicks, so we're like, God damn it, what happened? And then they raised their hands. We're like, oh my God. So,
dude, I'm going to tell you, watching it on TV, not any more clear.
Yeah, it really wasn't.
Watching it on TV live, my reaction was, God damn it! Oh yeah! It was there. My first, and I kid you not, my first things out of my mouth were yelling, God damn it, at my television set, because it looked so bad. And then it just, I don't know how it got through, but it got through. And then it was like, oh my God, I'm jumping up and down.
Yep.
The
first thing that I thought, and this is so stupid, but it's, the life of a podcaster, I suppose, but my first thought was, oh my God, we finally won a game that we would normally have lost even as recently as maybe a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you read everything that says, for a team to turn the corner, they lose games that they have in hand, and they find a way to lose them, and they just have to find a way to win. And they actually did that this time. It was the opposite side of the coin that we're so used to not being on.
Right.
And I mean, it was fantastic. And, we've talked about this in previous episodes, but this team has a penchant for hanging around, but also for coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Baker has now played 3 games, and he's brought them back in every single game.
Sure.
And this team is going to be dangerous down the road if this trend continues.
Sure. I mean, what has to happen here at some point, and neither of us want it to happen, but we both know it has to happen, is Baker's got to have that bad game. That we, believe it or not, we need that to happen. I don't want it to happen, but Baker needs to have that 3 interceptions, 80 yards, 6 for 30 passing day. so that we can get that behind him, so that we can get a devastatingly bad performance behind him and get him to, that will be the next step for him. Because right now he's riding high. Everything he's touching is turning to gold. And, and that's cool. But, if you've watched any football in your life, then you know that there's always that moment. Hell, Sam Darnold had it against us. He was the golden child there for a minute, and then he came here, and we just, made him look terrible.
Yeah.
That's going to happen to Baker. I don't know where, because I would have thought that it was going to happen in Baltimore if, with their defense, and it didn't. So that's the next step. I hate to say it, and I hate to bust everybody's bubble thinking, oh, we got a playoff shot now. I keep hearing that, and I'm like, ease up. Pump the brakes a little bit.
if they had the little graphics up on the screen, we would not be included.
Yeah, we
would not be in the hunt. Right
let's
pump
the brakes
outside
on
looking in.
Yeah, I was thrilled. I was watching ESPN something. Maybe it's NFL Live or something the other day, and they have the teams listed from 1 to 32, and whatever that breaks down to, where they're all even divided by whatever that is. Mm-hmm. They had columns like 5, 6, 7 columns, however many columns it was. Sure. And we weren't in the last column it was the power rankings.
Yeah.
And we weren't in the last column. We were number 23 or something. And I was like, holy shit, we are not last. I'm looking at it, and I was looking at some teams that are supposed to be better than us. So, the Arizona Cardinals were behind us. And I was like, we're better than the Cardinals, at least on the expert list. I was like, that rocks.
I've seen the Falcons behind us.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, we're ranked number 20 on CBS, CBSSports.com, and we're ranked 18th on Pro Football Talk.
That's solid.
Which I can't even remember the last time we were up there.
Yeah, because those guys, what's his name, King and Florio, don't they hate the Browns?
Florio, every Browns article up until the last few weeks, he just had to get that nasty little barb in at the end. It's like, screw you.
Yeah. Who hates the Browns worse, Florio or Jason Lockenfora?
Yeah, and Lockenfora comes on our local airwaves all the time.
Yeah, and says, I don't hate the Browns at all, and then he shits on them for 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure you don't.
Pete Prisco is another one that likes to kind of twist the knife.
Yeah, and then there's Colin Cowherd.
He is all about some Baker Mayfield now. I tell you what, he has done a complete reversal. And Skip Bayless is another one who's just. I watched an interview with him the other day, and he's all about some Baker Mayfield. Baker's really winning some people over. It's pretty crazy.
Good. Skip Bayless can die in a fire, and it won't affect me at all. Screw him. Right? He stinks.
So I got to tell you, man, your little prediction for Nick Chubb that you really hoped that he would get the ball more, that played out well, and boy, when he got the ball, he sure made the most of it, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. I just, everybody that was going nuts, I thought it was, and I'm usually the king of overreaction.
Yeah.
But after that Raider game, when everyone's like, oh, you have to give Chubb the ball a ton now. Like, why?
Yeah.
He averages like 1 yard a carry except for 2 long runs.
Yeah.
And sure enough, what did he do? They gave him the ball a few times in this game, and he did absolutely nothing.
Nothing at all. I know. I was disappointed in Mr. Chubb this week, to say the least. That said, I was happy to see Duke Johnson getting some touches.
Those 3 runs in overtime were manly.
Yeah, and they threw the ball to him a few times during the game. They put some touches in his hand. They're still not doing it enough. Yeah. I still say, and now especially with Higgins hurt, I think you got to get Duke into the game a little bit more, because you got to have playmakers on the field. And, to be honest, I don't think Landry, as of yet, has really proven to be a playmaker. I mean, he's good, but he's not been overwhelmingly good. Higgins
he wasn't really like that in Miami, though, dude.
Right.
He was more of a possession guy.
Yeah, he was a slot guy.
Possession guy. Like, I mean, your big hitters are going to be, it was Higgins. Thankfully, he's only going to be out 2 to 4 weeks, they said. But,
right.
Callaway is supposed to be the guy that you have as, that deep threat, home run hitter. So, Yeah, I mean, that's not really Juice's job.
No. Well, it is now because they're lining him up as a 1. They're not lining him up in the slot most of the game. They're lining him up in the 1. So if they're lining him up in the 1, then that is his job. He has an adjusted role, which I just think he hasn't adjusted to yet. Although he clearly did get nailed on that play at the end of the. How was that not some sort of a penalty at the end?
I didn't know this, but I wasn't thinking. They said, okay, uncatchable. First of all, I don't care if it's uncatchable or not. Like Juice himself said, it's uncatchable. Or no, Baker said, of course it's uncatchable. He's on the ground.
Yeah.
The referees. We'll get to that in a minute, but. How
about illegal contact? You're not allowed to touch the receiver. That's exactly what I was going to say. I didn't even think about that till I was listening to post game, and I went, "Yeah, that was contact downfield." I mean, that was a lot of contact downfield. No matter the thing that gets me about the refs in a situation like that, when you see a guy get mugged like that, how is it not instinctual to just throw a flag for something? Yeah, I mean,
you could pick it up later, but when you see that. That's not legal.
Dude, I've been in street brawls where I've been hit less than that. I mean,
it was like the Josh Gordon one against Pittsburgh with Joe Hayden. I mean, when somebody gets clubbed like that, that is illegal.
Yeah, that's a penalty any way you look at it. Doesn't matter if you can catch the ball or not. You're not allowed to touch him 5 yards downfield.
Yeah, and even if you're not even looking at that, it's you hit somebody that hard. That's just something's wrong with that.
Yeah.
It just looks like something you're not supposed to do. So throw a damn flag.
Yeah.
I mean, you could later on look at it and another guy can go, no, dude, it's not a flag because this. Oh, okay. Well, then there's no flag on the play. Like, okay.
Yeah. Well, dude, and once again, the officials sucked. I mean, come on. The Browns had 15 penalties, and the Ravens didn't have a single one until overtime. Get out of here.
Yeah, I think it was a total of. I think it was a total of 3 of them, and the Browns declined 2 of them.
Yeah.
So it was, and I think our final count was like 12 or something.
Yeah, come on, that's just not right.
It's totally jacked up.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna tell me that they play that much better than we did, even though we won the game? That they were technically that much better? That we had 9 more penalties or 10 more penalties than they did?
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, now, the one thing I will say about that, dude, is when you start getting into double-digit penalties, you can't say it's poor refereeing.
No.
All the way around, because when you're doing that much, when there's that much laundry on the field, you are partially to blame. I mean, the one thing I will say is that there were 2. I don't know how obvious they were on television, but there were 2 obvious false starts against Baltimore in key situations later in the game that they didn't even look at.
Yeah.
There was a delay of game that they didn't call. There was an offsides they didn't call.
Right.
And it was just, I mean, it just seems like one of those things. It almost felt like because the Browns were bitching about the refs from the week before, that the refs were kind of bound and determined to legally kind of, stick it to us a little bit.
Well, it sure didn't stop
them
from
how it felt.
It didn't stop them from calling false starts 2 or 3 times on Myles Garrett now, though, did it?
Yeah.
Jesus. They got him, 3 times for a false start?
It was offsides.
Offsides.
I mean, it's like, I really wonder, are those, and the replays, it didn't look like it to me. It just looked like he nailed the snap count to me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, in those instances, it's, okay, well, it's going to be a borderline call either way. Dude, if you're that close.
Well, they showed 1 penalty. I think it was in the second quarter, and I don't know why am I being brain dead here. What's the offensive right tackle for us?
Hubbard.
They called a holding penalty on him, and he never touched. I mean, he never gripped the guy at all. Like at all. He pushed. He was pushing, trying to push the guy off, and they threw a flag and they showed it, and even the announcers were like, maybe they called the wrong number, because there was 0 chance of any penalty.
Yeah, I know the exact call you're talking about, because everybody in the stadium was like, they showed the replay and we're all like, what?
Yeah.
Where the hell are they looking? And there was nothing there.
There was absolutely not even sometimes there's that that wishy-washy call that could or couldn't be holding or whatever. I mean, there was nothing there. And they called it and was like, what are they calling? What are they looking at? You know, the officiating has just, and it's league-wide, not just the Browns. The officiating in the NFL right now is just terrible. I can't believe that they can't hire guys to call a decent game.
I mean, every week they're coming out and saying, oh, yeah, we got that one wrong. Oh, yeah, we got that one wrong. Oh, yeah, we got that one wrong. Well, you know, and why can't you find guys that can actually do this job?
Yeah.
I mean, especially considering stuff when it happens, like, you know, when it costs people games like it did to us 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. When you're missing calls this much, it's closer to WWE than it is to, you know, competitive sports.
Yeah,
I
agree.
It's just bad, man. It's like when you're missing that many calls that you got to every single week, you got to come out with a laundry list of apologies for missed calls. You got to start wondering why these guys are missing calls, because they're either A, bad at what they do, or B, there's another reason. And then, you know, I'm not necessarily saying that that's not a piece of it either. The fact that in our game this week that the number of penalties was so lopsided against the quote unquote lesser team, that screams of, well, maybe the Ravens are supposed to win. You know, whether it's for the line or, you know, the betting line or whatever, it just screams of that, man. And, you know, I'm not above a good conspiracy theory.
See, I'm never a conspiracy theory guy, so I'm like, no, I don't know. I hate going there, but
you don't want to believe
it. No, that's true. It's true. I mean, you don't want to go there because I don't want to, because then it's in my head, like, you know, from here on down the road, that if something goes wrong and we're in a close game, that we're going to get screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like, let's say, you know, we do get to like week 12 and we're in the playoff hunt for a wild card or something by some miracle.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're playing, you know, somebody else that's more popular, you know, at least in the league office, you know, like say Pittsburgh, and all of a sudden, you know, they start screwing us on calls because, oh, we can't, you know, go against Pittsburgh. I don't even want to have that enter into my thinking.
Well, you know what? I mean, dude, think about this for a minute. We play the Steelers in 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Man, it is soon, yeah.
It's October 28th, right? Is the date. So that's
so we have
3 games.
The Chargers this week, and then the Falcons the week after,
and then
I'm pretty sure, and then the Steelers. Yeah, wow, that's right.
So, I mean, I was thinking about this today. I don't know if you saw that Antonio Brown is being sued for throwing a couch out a window or some nonsense.
I saw the headline, but didn't read the article.
He's such a tool. Him and Le'Veon Bell. You know, please, Browns, don't bring either of them. I know they're talented, but they're also cancer. So leave them both where they are.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a legitimate chance that we end up playing the Steelers with an extremely rusty Le'Veon Bell and no Antonio Brown, because if with this lawsuit that's filed, if there are charges that come with it, he's going to get suspended when the charges are filed. And that would be right about, if the charges get filed by the end of this week, he's going to get suspended the next Monday or Tuesday.
Well, don't they like appeal right away, though? It's kind of like that whole Ezekiel Elliott thing last year where he appealed like 8,000 times.
Could be. I guess it depends on the evidence.
And then he played the first 6 games, and they went, okay, enough is enough, you're suspended.
It could. Well, the league likes to do that, which with Antonio Brown, they probably would do that. But how great would that be if there's like videotape of him throwing the couch out the window where there's no way to argue it?
Well, why would somebody sue you if you didn't do it? I mean, that's kind of...
Sorry, jerkwad, but you're suspended against the Browns.
Yeah. Hey, man, like we've said, I don't give a damn how the Steelers lose or how the Browns beat the Steelers. As long as it happens, I do not care. Yeah. I just do not care.
How about another tie?
Oh, God. It was so everybody around us in the stadium the other day when they lined up for that kick, we're all like, we're going to have a friggin' heart attack from this damn team. And we all looked at each other and went, well, I'd be okay with a tie. It's not a loss. And pretty much universally, everyone's like, yeah, it's not a loss. Like, hey, we're not losing.
This team reminds you of the Cardiac Kids, except for they zap you back to life, but you're in a coma. You just don't go anywhere with it.
You thought you were fine, just a head injury for the comb. You wake up, but you're missing a leg. Like, damn it!
Yeah, exactly. Came in for a broken finger. Came out with your chest cut wide open heart surgery.
Exactly.
It's just it's tough, dude. I'm telling you, I'm watching the game at the end, and I don't know about you. You were in the stands, and you probably had a little more energy than I did. But I'm watching that at the end, and I'm watching Greg Joseph, and he's throwing dirt up in the air and stuff, and I'm like, this guy is gonna miss. That's all I could think was, this guy is not gonna make this kick.
The energy in the stadium for every time he lined up for a kick was so funny. It's like, we Browns fans are so gun shy of kickers after that Zane Gonzalez crap,
right?
Because he came out for that extra point, and everybody was like, I hope he makes it. And then he missed it, and we're like, oh, boy. And he came out for the 55-yarder, and we're all like, well, this ain't going in. So there was it's basically silence.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause everybody expected that. And then when he comes out for the game winner, everyone was just,
I know, it was awful. Dude, well, that 55-yard kick, unfortunately, somebody sitting in about section 125 probably could have caught that.
Yeah,
because it was so far off to the – dude, that was one of the worst misses I've ever seen.
Yep.
And then the one that went through was even uglier. You know, the to end the game. That was –
the knuckleball?
Dude, that was the have you ever seen a game won on an uglier kick?
No, but if there's ever a team that deserves to win on something that ugly, it damn sure is us.
Yeah, how dare we expect it just to be up and through the middle and high up in the uprights where there's no doubt.
All those years of Phil Dawson are coming back to bite us in the ass.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, we can't. I was thinking this when the kick went through. We can't even get our full celebration. Most teams, when there's like 2 seconds left and they kick the field goal to win, they know right away. The clock expired and we still didn't know.
Dude, the Panthers knew sooner on Graham Gano's 63-yarder than we did on that 37-yard knuckleball.
Dude, it was like, it was through, the clock was out, and there was still a second or two before we could actually say, oh my God, it went through.
Yeah, it was like that split second. It really was. We're like I said earlier, we had to wait for the referee signal, and they were kind of like, they kind of waited a minute. I'm like, will you just tell us, goddammit? Like,
yeah, I know. It was
is
like,
it good or is it not? It's your job. Like, tell us.
It was like an umpire in baseball, one of those guys that has the slow trigger. You know, the guy that sees the pitch and doesn't call it right away, and then like half a second later, it's like strike one. It was like that. But that was what it was like. It was like they weren't even sure if they were supposed to say that we won.
Yep. So it's just it's so incredible. Like we were talking about, the records, and what if we tied this week? Like, think about how different 2-2-1 sounds from 1-2-2.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's so unbelievable.
Dude, I'm happy with where we're at. We're 5 games in. We're looking okay. Again, as I said in podcast number 1, I really don't care what the record is. I'm not looking for playoffs or draft positions or any of the above this year. I just want to see a competitive team. John Dorsey and Hugh have given us that.
Yeah.
I mean, if we start talking about what needs to be fixed, we're talking minor stuff now, which is the first time in 20 years that we're saying that.
Yeah.
We're talking about getting rid of Amos. We're talking about getting a kicker. We're not talking about we need a quarterback, 2 cornerbacks, and 2 linemen and a linebacker.
4 receivers.
Yeah. We're at the point now where we're almost to the part where we're at the interchangeable pieces that we just haven't found the right piece to change in.
Yeah.
Even our punting. The punting is good. I mean, our bitch is special teams. It continues to be special teams. And look, we grabbed a kicker off the scrap heap. So we get what we get, when you do that. And we're going to have to grab probably, I don't, for the life of me, I do not believe that that Greg Joseph is going to be the kicker come the end of this season. They're going to have to replace him at some point.
Unless he just becomes Mr. Automatic, you're dead on.
I don't see that happening. It's way too in his head. I mean, dude, I don't know if you watched any of the replay of the game, but it's way in his head. I mean, he's a mess. I mean, first of all, like I said at the beginning, when you miss that far left and then bonk one right, and then your one that goes down the middle, is like 4.5 feet high, your mechanics are just lousy. And if your mechanics are lousy, it's because your head isn't right. Because these kickers, that's all they do. Practice swinging that leg through and hitting the ball. That's it. So his mechanics are awful to where it's all in his head. He's trying to think, well, I got to move my foot here, or I got to do this, or I got to swing this way, or whatever. So it's not going to come out of his head. It's just not. And then winning a game so ugly as he did, that's going to make him even more gun shy next week. So I personally don't think he's the guy. He's not going to be the guy. And honestly, and this is going to sound a little bit nutty, but maybe this is the year that we have to go like 5th round and draft a better kicker. Maybe we might be decent enough at this point that is a position of need versus, whoever's here is fine.
It's hard to argue. I mean that far back in the, it would be hilarious.
What? First rounder?
If we do draft one in the 5th round, we use that draft pick that we got from New England for Josh Gordon. So we basically traded Josh Gordon for a kicker.
Well, you know what? If we get a good kicker, that'd be fine. Although I did see, didn't Gordon catch a touchdown this week?
He caught Brady's 500th.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh my God!
I'm glad he got rewarded for all his hard work.
Yeah, exactly. Just like whatever. But yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think that we're at that level, and it's pretty cool because you can. The attitude is different.
Yeah,
and they're starting to build confidence, and it's the kind of thing where maybe you are a few players away from being one of the upper echelon teams in the AFC.
Yeah. And
really competing for a division. I mean, I'm really interested to see what happens, in games against teams like Atlanta, whose defense sucks, but they've got that, big offense.
Sure.
This week against the Chargers is going to be a good test because, they're 3-2, but they're a real competitive team, and Phillip Rivers generally eats our lunch. But they are without Joey Bosa. I think he's still. Yeah, he's still out with an injury. But when you get into these division matchups, because depending on what happens, I mean, you could be playing Cincinnati when that first game comes up against them. I think it might be the first one right after the. In fact, it's the first one right after the bye week. I mean, you could be playing them for. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen these next 3 games. You could be playing for some serious stakes, and so you don't know. It'll be interesting to see when they actually get into a more prime time type of a game.
Yeah,
where there's actually something on the line besides, oh, look, the Browns are good again. Mm-hmm. To see what exactly happens, and we've proven that we can play with the Ravens. That game, which is the last one of the year, December 30th, that is going to be a bitch because that if they're fighting for anything, to have to go into M&T Bank after the way we played against them this time, they're going to be pissed and ready to roll.
Sure. But you know what? The way this team plays, we are too. We are too. We're not going to go in there and say, well, we beat them last time. We're going to be like, man, we barely beat them. Now we got to beat their ass.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, they've got that attitude that the attitude has just changed. We said it felt different a few games ago, but now it's feeling really different. It's not too much to say. I mean, I'm pulling up the schedule right now, and okay, I was wrong. So we've got the Chargers this week, which is going to be a tough game, and then we got the Buccaneers. I mean, that's one of those things where that's another step they have to take when they're playing a team that they're obviously better than and should beat. Yeah. That they beat them handily. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a thing. But I mean, this is going to be a tough stretch for them because they got 5 games before the break. They got the Chargers. That's going to be a tough game. The Buccaneers is a game that they, on paper, should be able to win, and maybe handily. They got the rematch with the Steelers, who knows what you're going to get, because their defense has been crap, and then all of a sudden they just completely shut down Matt Ryan. The game after that is the Chiefs. I'm really interested to see what happens when they play against Mahomes at Kansas City. That has a potential to be a bloodbath, unfortunately. But
Right.
wouldn't it be so Browns to let David Carr drop 45 on us, and then we go in there and the first team that just wipes up the floor with Mahomes? Like, he's got like 4 picks and like 100 yards passing. Like, we just shut him down. And then after that is the Falcons game, and then you have the bye.
Right.
But coming out of the bye, you've got the Bengals, the Texans, the Panthers, the Broncos, the Bengals, and the Ravens. So, I mean, you're going to know a lot about the team and what you're playing for by the bye week. And, I mean, it's going to be real interesting to see how much they really have turned the corner, because, I mean, just 2 weeks ago, you look at this schedule and you're like, okay, well, this is looking pretty good with, the Texans, and, you got, the Steelers were looking like crap, and the Buccaneers were, they finally got rolled, and the Chargers had a bad game. And now this doesn't look that easy, man. This is pretty damn tough.
It's not that easy, but what's interesting is at the start of the season, if you looked at the same schedule, you'd have thought after the Jets there was nothing on the schedule we could win.
Yeah.
And now, like, I put a big red circle on the schedule that you just read on the Denver game. We should win that game. We should win the Tampa game. We should win one of 2 at least from Cincy. Who, boy, thanks a lot, Dolphins, for choking your ass out on that. Jesus. They were up what, so 17 or 20 or something? They were up by a lot.
Yeah, it was 17-0, and the stadium was all pumped up.
Yeah, and then
all of a sudden we saw that it was just changing and changing. We're like, what the hell, man? Damn it. Because we're thinking, we're going to be a half game out of first place the way it was looking.
Yeah, and
we could have, if we got a good outcome against Baltimore, because since he was getting rolled. But
that's my whole thing right now is we could legitimately, we could finish first, we could finish last in our division this year. I think there's enough parity that a couple things go this way or that way, we could go either way. And again, to be honest, I'm not predicting that we're going to go first either, but I mean, I'm going to say 4 plays away from being undefeated at this point in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And who's to say that with some experience and some confidence that those 4 plays don't go our way as we go forward. The Steelers do not look like a playoff team. Even with the win this week, and even though they blew out the Falcons, they don't look like a playoff team. Not a good one.
No, their defense has not been good.
No, and the Bengals are the Bengals. They always play adequately during the season and then just choke it away in the playoffs. So, and then the Ravens, we beat. I mean, there's a legitimate chance. Think about it. If we take one of two from the Bengals and we beat the Steelers on the 28th, we will have a better than 500 record for the season, no matter what, against the AFC
North.
AFC North, yeah.
Well, and that's one thing that I think is going to be really interesting, because the Browns are already talking about their home record.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of saying, we've won 2 at home, no, they're saying we're undefeated at home. So they're walking around like, big men on campus, like, oh no, you're not coming in. Like, they're already thinking that, okay, you're not coming in here. Like, they've got this attitude and this piss and vinegar where you're not going to beat us at home.
Yeah, not in my house attitude, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's just like, that is an excellent recipe for success. Brian Billick always said, you take care of your home games and then you split on the road, you're a 12-4 team and you're in the playoffs, potentially winning your division every year. It's like, and it's just incredible the way things have turned around in such a short period of time, because it wasn't like this even not even 3 weeks ago.
Dude, when you suggested to me starting this podcast, I was like, really? We're going to talk about this nonsense for 16 weeks? And now I'm excited to do it. Now it's like, dude, it's exciting. It's definitely a time when there's excitement in the air about the team. And even the stuff that we talk about that's bad, it's not bad. It's not Johnny Manziel bad. It's not Josh Gordon is suspended again bad. It's man, maybe our receiving core is not as deep as it should be. We're like 2 guys away from a much, from an all-star receiving core, or maybe Jamie Collins isn't playing quite as well as we thought he would. I mean, there's nothing to where we're going, man, what a disappointment again. There's no disappointment now, which is just refreshing. Yeah.
And it's again, with the speed at which this is all changing is incredible, because you and like you said, just going back to starting the podcast, when I suggested it, there was just something about just the way the guys were talking in the off season that it didn't sound the same. It wasn't all this cliche crap, and it was so many new guys, and they were just like, we weren't here for 0-16. That we don't give a damn. And the attitude was different, and then you started hearing about things going on in practice that were different, and then you started seeing it in the preseason, and so then you go into the Pittsburgh game, and you just know that if special teams had done their job,
it's a win.
The kicker, let's be honest, you're looking at beating the Steelers, and you have that comeback, and that's when you really knew something had changed, because like we said during that first episode, right at the time when it could be same old Browns, it wasn't.
Right.
And you saw it there, and then you saw it against the Saints, like they hung in with the Saints. They're still the only team to keep them under 40 points.
Yeah.
So you saw it there, and then you go into the Jets game, and you're like, okay, we're competitive. But then you started saying, okay, well, this is a game you should win.
Yeah.
And you come out looking like crap, and all of a sudden Baker comes in, and we all know what happened then. And then you go into the Raider game like, okay, not only are we competitive, but we got this guy that can actually play quarterback, it looks like. And, the defense, crapped the bed.
Yeah.
But Baker just lit it up. And then now you come in against Baltimore, and you beat a division rival.
Yeah.
And again, that knuckleball kick is the kick that never goes in for us. It was a Charlie Brown moment that didn't happen. And I mean, it's just, and this is all within 5 weeks. And it's, I'm trying not to get ahead of myself because, as we've told everybody, I'm an enormous homer.
Sure.
But I just keep thinking, well, what does that extrapolate out to for the next 11 weeks? Oh my God. Because it's the first time since like 2007, or really 2008, because we were excited about that season after 07. But, you can't wait to get to game day because they're actually worth watching.
Yeah. No, you're definitely right, dude. I mean, I will say that the last couple of years have not been worth watching. And I could say, a lot of it was about the kneeling nonsense last year, but I didn't watch any last year. I think I watched 2 quarters of one game last year because I just, A, I wasn't down with the whole kneeling thing, but B, I just didn't care. I knew they were going to get rolled, and I just didn't care. I didn't want to watch it. I didn't want to watch my city made fun of by these stupid ass national announcers.
Yep.
So I just like, you know what? I'll just coast between the end of the Indians and the Cavs. Good enough. But this year it's very much like, I do my radio show till 3 a.m. on Sunday morning. And I make sure that I get up now, early enough to be awake and alive and coffeeed up, ready for the Browns. And that's a big difference that I have not felt in a very long time. It's exciting again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already like just chomping at the bit for Sunday's game because I want to see, okay, is this upward trajectory of attitude and energy and confidence, and the team coming together, is that going to continue, or is it going to be like you said, we're going to finally have that week where teams just going to come in here, blow the doors off of us, and we're going to go, oh, nope.
Well,
still got a ways to go.
But the thing that has to, and this is more the challenge for the fans than for the team, although it's for the team too. We as fans have to not have the same attitude that we've always had as well when they shit the bed that first time this year. They're going to get rolled in some game. They're not good enough to not have a letdown. There's going to be a game that we're going to get rolled 49-10 or something. I don't know who it's going to be against. Knowing now that I said Denver looks like a win, it'll probably be Denver. It'll be the one.
Keenum throws for 600 yards. Looks like a college quarterback.
600 yards, 8 touchdowns, to a bunch of guys none of us have ever heard of. Right. That'll be what happens. It'll be something that's just ridiculous. But we as fans now, we have to, and this is me almost talking like you, we have to accept that this is a better team and understand that even the Patriots have those games where they get their heads blown off. And we have to not be like, oh, nothing will deflate the team on the field more than if we show up the week after they get their asses handed to them and are like, yeah, woo, Browns.
It was really funny you say that because at the beginning of this game, the place was half full.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's Baker's first home start. But, it filled up and then it got crazy. But I was so surprised. I'm like, please don't be like this. And the sad part is, man, I think that is going to happen, what you just said. Like people, like Jabril Pepper saying we're wishy-washy. And it's like, it pisses you off to hear that because I'm like, man, I've been called a lot of things in my life, but a wishy-washy Browns fan has never been one of them and never will ever be one of them.
Right.
But, the fans here are so sick and tired of the losing that it's bound to happen. Mm-hmm. And, even like you said, like last year you didn't watch. I watched out of obligation because, I haven't missed a kickoff since the very first game I ever saw in January of '86, and I wanted to keep my streak alive. But, and I actually, for the first time ever in my life, left games early or didn't use my tickets because I was so sick and tired of it. The first couple weeks of the season, I was already leaving, just screaming, walking down the street going, why am I doing this? Why, $1,300 for season tickets. And then it's, $20, $30 to park and then a bar tab before the game or food during the game. Like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
Because it just, and if a fan like me is that frustrated,
mm-hmm.
You can't even imagine what it's like for somebody who's like 25.
Oh yeah.
And they all they've ever known is the crap Browns.
Yeah.
They don't have that hope like I do that, I was a little kid when Bernie Kosar, my first season was his second season. It was like, oh my God, I know what it's like when the Browns are good. Like, and I know what a good Browns team looks like. And this is starting to look like that. Like they don't have that.
No, this is all new. And, the only Browns they've ever seen win were on their PS4s. That's really exactly the truth, man. So it is different, but it's got a bit of the old flavor, which is what I'm liking. I'm glad that even with, and I guess this is a statement of positivity for Dorsey. I like that he didn't build a flash and dash team. He didn't try to build the Steeler offense from last year. He's built a team that plays what I would consider traditional Cleveland Browns football.
Yeah.
Beat the ball with the running backs, throw when you have to, take it downfield once you get everybody moved up in the box. He's built a more traditional football team, within 1 year. And if you're that's positive for this area. And if we're going to grow, if you look at the Chiefs last year to the Chiefs this year, sort of a blueprint that he's matching. Last year
I was just going to say that. Yep.
Last year he had the Chiefs team was built a lot more on the run. What's the running back's name? Hunt is the running back. Kareem Hunt. They were all about him, and he had a zillion yards. And they had the tight end that had Kelsey that had a bunch of touchdowns, but that was it. Then what do they do this year? Now they got all kinds of people catching touchdowns. Mahomes is throwing 5 touchdowns a game.
Yep.
And they still have that running game as well. So they've expanded out as the talent has grown. And it's like he built the same thing here, but we're just at the entry point of it.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see even the entry point of it is better than the high school team we fielded last year.
Yeah. And, the other thing that Dorsey did, he built that old school smash mouth football team, but he brought in a competent offensive coordinator who fits his offense to what his players can do.
Mm-hmm.
So Dorsey said, okay, here's this old school smash mouth football team. And then Haley said, okay, cool. But my quarterback can do this, so I can do that. My running backs, when we run, they could do this. And, so it's not one of those, Butch Davis with Jeff Garcia trying to make him a drop back, stay in the pocket quarterback. Yeah.
Right.
What this guy has done has pretty much universally worked. And, that right there, I think is the difference, because before you had these morons
Sashi.
Oh my God. Sashi was awesome at accumulating assets, but couldn't evaluate talent worth a damn.
Right.
And, and then you had, Ray Farmer texting people during a game, like, what the hell are you doing? And, literally getting in personality clashes with the coaches and just trying to have a pissing match about whose dick is bigger. It's like, instead of worrying about winning, they're worried about their egos.
Right.
And
you see what they're doing now.
Like, well,
nothing.
But yeah,
nothing. They're not. Neither of them are employed, are they?
No. Sashi, no.
Sashi, no. Ray Farmer, no. Is D Podesta still on the team?
D Podesta's still with us.
Is he?
Yeah, he because they wanted to keep some of the analytics stuff, and he's phenomenal at the.
He's taking a much quieter role. Like, I haven't heard his name this year at all.
Yeah, very much so. But, all of his moves have pretty much worked. You look at stuff like, Jannard Avery is a 5th-round pick, and the guy's been awesome for us at linebacker. He had 5 quarterback hits this week.
Yeah.
And so, he's getting pressure on the quarterback, and, there was, I was reading that a lot of the times that, to really look at a good defense, it doesn't necessarily show up in, okay, you have this many interceptions and this many sacks. Like, in our defense, it is showing up there. We're the best in the NFL. We have the most amount of takeaways in the NFL of 15, and we're the best NFL team in the NFL with the plus minus. We're at +8. But, Myles Garrett is tied for 4th in sacks. He's got, but he's one. The league leader is 6.
Right.
So he's 1 behind the league leader in sacks, and Denzel Ward is tied for the lead in interceptions. But when you look at like quarterback hits and pressures and all these other stats, the Browns are way up there.
Yeah.
So, and it's guys like that. He brings in a Demarius Randall. He brings in EJ Gaines and TJ Carey and damn it, who's the guy that went down with the broken forearm? I'm already drawn a.
He's already not on the team anymore. So move on.
Terrence Mitchell. Sorry. Drafting guys like Jannard Avery in the 5th round and whatnot. And it's like the guy, like everything he's touched has turned to gold. Yeah. Whereas in the past, all those decisions have backfired. We don't need to go through the list of failed 1st-round picks. Everybody knows the Justin Gilberts and, Phil Taylors of the world and Brandon Whedons and Trent Richardsons. And instead, this year you get 1st-round picks and you end up with your franchise quarterback if it keeps going the way it's looking.
Right.
And a franchise shutdown all-pro cornerback.
Yeah.
And that's where you missed before. And you see where getting the right people in the right positions can really get you. And it's, we said it in one of the first episodes, like, we don't think that turnaround that happened like with Jacksonville last year, going from 3-13 to, what was it, 12-4 in AFC Championship game. We don't think that can happen to us, but why couldn't it? Well, we don't know, because if their attitude keeps continuing like this, you just don't know, because when a team gets this cocky and full of themselves and they actually have the talent, especially at quarterback, to back it up, dude, we just don't know. And I'm not saying it's going to happen.
I was going to say, pump the brakes a little bit, John. Yeah, pump the brakes.
I'm just saying that this is actually like, to say that, if someone actually were to come out and say that, well, it could be us this year, like, it's not nearly as far-fetched as it was before, because before it would just have to be some lightning in a bottle bullshit where you just get lucky.
No.
This, you can actually look at the team and go, all right, you wouldn't look at it if it happened and go, well, how the hell did that happen? You go, well, no, they have good quarterback play. They have, a top 5 defense, and, they got talent at the skill positions, and, an offensive and defensive coordinator that are, calling great plays. And I mean, it's not far-fetched if it were to happen. I'm not saying it will, and I'm not saying I expect it, and that I'm hopeful. I'm not even hopeful for it. I'd be happy if it stayed like this and just showed steady improvement throughout the year and end up at 8-7-1. I mean, God, I'd be doing backflips if that were the case. But
I'll give you a positive and a negative. I'll go with the negative first. The negative is Dorsey, while he's done a great job, he also picked the kicker. So he kept the kicker. So he's not quite Midas yet. He's found a little fool's gold with his finger. So there's that. But on a positive note, as lousy as Greg Joseph was on Sunday, he still had a better day than the guy on the Packers.
Yeah.
So, and that guy is pretty much slated for a Hall of Fame jersey at some point, Crosby.
Yeah, he's great, but I don't know what the hell that was.
There's something going on this year with kicking in general. It seems like everybody's missing kicks. It's not just us.
Yeah, we got the most snake bitten by it, I think, but
yeah. Ours has cost us the most, but everybody's missing kicks.
That's so weird. I mean,
I don't know. Maybe it's a different football or something, or a different pressure on the ball. I don't know, but
yeah,
whatever it is, it's not been any kicker's friend. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I can't even tell, because it's like it's never been this bad.
Yeah, never.
And you would think that it wouldn't be that difficult of a damn job to do.
Yeah.
So it's like these guys, you're paid to kick the ball through the yellow poles. Like, just all you have to do is do that all day long, and you'll be good at it. And a lot of these guys aren't.
Yeah,
like,
it's
what the heck?
It's the only position, one of 2 positions on the field. In fact, it's the only position on the field that you can practice without anybody else. So you can practice all day long as a kicker. Every other position on the field, you need other people. You can be in your spare time practicing kicking field goals, but for whatever reason, nobody's doing it well this year. So I don't know. All right, let's make our picks and get out of here.
What are you thinking?
Where's the game? Is it here or is it there?
It's here.
It's here.
Yeah. I'm trying to look up the offensive and defensive rankings here while we're talking. If I don't get to it, I'm not going to exactly wait. But
I'm going to go.
Oh, look at that.
I'm going to say Browns 21-17.
I like that. Man.
It's a tough one this week.
Yeah, because, the Chargers are, let's see here. Chargers averaged 12.4 yards per play on Rivers throws last week's, just on each throw, not completions. Okay, whatever. Okay. So I don't.
Just make a pick.
I want to pick the Browns so bad, but I could see them stumbling in this one. So I'm gonna go the opposite route. I'm gonna say the Chargers 21-17.
Oh, what a false fan you are.
I know. Yeah, right. I don't know. Phillip Rivers just always eats our lunch. So,
well, he's the last quarterback we beat prior to this year.
Yeah. Well, let's close on this.
All right.
That's a good point. So, I'm on the power rankings on NFL.com. Where do you think the Browns are?
In the power rankings?
Yes.
I'm going to say 20.
You would be too low.
Really?
Yes.
What are they, about 17, 18?
Still too low.
They're higher than that?
16.
They're in the top half?
They bumped them up 7 spots from last week.
We're the bottom of the top half.
Uh-huh. It said before in this space that turnovers be damned, Baker Mayfield makes the Browns exciting to watch. Witness the key down in overtime. On 3rd and long, the kid phenom evades the Ravens' rush, steps back from a collapsing pocket a la Drew Brees, and calmly hits Derek Willis, over the middle for a 39-yard gain. Willis, an undrafted free agent, made the first 3 catches of his pro career Sunday, with none larger than his catch and run in the extra period to set up the game-winning kick. He made the club playing special teams for the first time. Amazing what opportunities a trade can open up, and not just for the Patriots. So I don't know what the hell trade they're talking about, but
Josh Gordon.
No, but it was, well,
that's why Willie's was on the field, because Josh Gordon wasn't there.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there they say it. They said, Baker Mayfield.
It.
Yeah, that's. I mean, so yeah, there we are. I guess we were 20. What did I say? 20-1 and 18 in the other, or 22 in it. Now we got 16.
16
on the official NFL site.
Wow, look at us.
I like that a lot.
All right, I'm changing my pick. Chargers 42, Browns 3. Because now that we're up top, we got to fall back down.
Well, the Chargers are ranked number 10, so it's Look,
so dude, we have not been ranked that high. Probably since I became old enough to rent a car. That's how long it's been. I mean, legitimately,
again, you got to go back to like 2008.
I don't,
and it'd be in the first
then.
part of 2008, because after 2007, we were 10-6 and got robbed, of a playoff spot. I mean, that was the following year, people had big expectations for us, which I did not.
Yeah. But
I didn't trust Derek Anderson, and I turned out to be finally at that time right on one of my stupid Browns predictions. But yeah, it's got to be 2008, because they haven't been worth a damn since 2007.
Right.
So it's got to be.
Yep.
I don't know when else it would have been.
No, it's been a while, that's for sure.
So, all right, man. Well, we will get out of here. So, go Browns and all that stuff. It's amazing to be talking about a win and actually doing a podcast about the Browns that actually interests us.
Yeah.
So that's fun. But thanks everyone for checking it out. The phone number, the email addresses and all that stuff. We appreciate the downloads and all that. And until next time, we love the Raleigh asshole. We love the Rally Possum. That's one of my new favorite things, because it's just too funny. They actually had that guy in the stadium riling up the crowd instead of a player this week. I forgot to tell you, they had Bernie Kosar so far. They had Tim Couch, and this week was the guy who caught the possum.
Oh, nice.
So that was fantastic. So the Rally Possum is catching on, which I love. So until next time, go Browns. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
Thanks for listening to the Dawg Pound Podcast. Be part of the next edition by sending your thoughts to Woof, that's WOOF, at dawgpoundpodcast.com, or by calling us at 216-503-6404. See you next time, and go Browns!